You know, since Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has come back to the WWE, he's actually had a major increase of movies lately. Wonder if there's a connection. G.I. Joe Retaliation. Now, for those of you who have not seen the first movie, which was G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra, let me just tell you, you've been blessed. You're better off just going in fresh and pretending that this is a reboot and has nothing to do with that first movie, although it does break a couple of continuity errors which kind of disprove a lot of things that happened in the first film. So, better off is just going fresh. If you do that, the story to G.I. Joe Retaliation pretty much has the Joes kind of still taking on these little terrorist organizations around the world, where the president, who is actually not the president, who is an imposter, orders the mass extermination of all the G.I. Joes except for 3 of them, and they decide that they need to fight back and determine what has happened to the president, what Cobra is planning, and recruit the final surviving members of G.I. Joe to do a final assault and save the world. So, if you've seen the cartoon, it's kind of a typical G.I. Joe storyline. Now, this is coming from someone who has actually never seen the cartoon, and I can tell you right now that I certainly had fun. This is not the type of movie you go in wanting to use your brain. This is a mindless, good old time action popcorn flick, and you, for the most part, will not be bored. Now, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is clearly the best thing about this movie. He actually very much brings that commanding presence, much more than Channing Tatum did in the first movie, and I hate having to refer to that first movie. Ugh. Anyway, the action is shot very well, and if there's any main part of this movie that I have to talk about just exclusively, it would be the storyline connecting Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, which, you know, I'll be honest, that whole one mountain section, which I'm sure many of you have seen in the trailers, is probably the best scene in the entire movie by far. You've probably seen most of it as with little clips they've released over the past 6 months, but there's a couple of extra scenes added to it to make it that much more exciting. And, you know, to be honest, they should just really make it a side movie just talking about these two, because in all of G.I. Joe, the storyline between these two is the most interesting storyline that I've ever come across in terms of G.I. Joe. Bruce Willis is also in this movie, however, he's just not in it enough to be really relevant. He doesn't take anything away from any of the other characters, but he just doesn't add anything. It's like he was just kind of shoehorned in just to see if he wanted to be in another movie. And Channing Tatum has even less time, and it really bothers me to wonder why this movie was pushed back as long as it did, because from all the different explanations that they gave as for why this movie was pushed back, as in maybe they wanted to add 3D, they wanted to add more shots of Channing Tatum, or they just didn't want to release it so close to Battleship. Trust me, they would have had a much better chance releasing it back then than having to go head-to-head with the host, which is obviously inspired by the maker of Twilight. So, yeah, I think releasing it this time was a pretty big mistake in my opinion. But overall, it's not the smartest movie. If you're just going in to have fun at the movies, then this is certainly a good movie to go check out. You will have fun, and up until, let's say, the middle of the movie, you won't be bored for a majority of the film. And so I'm going to give G.I. Joe Retaliation a B-. Definitely check it out if you just want to have fun at the movies. And if you like this movie review, please like, comment down below, and please subscribe to keep track of my future movie and video game reviews. And like always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.